rain was not my fault, it was the Brits. They brought it with them. The British guys, I'd like for you to stand up so everybody knows who you are. I've been looking for you all weekend, haven't seen you, so, you know, raise your hand. I'm going to tell one story here. You know, everybody, the people that know me know that I can talk about briefly hard stuff. Those of you who don't, I have to explain to you the one that I had for this year, which didn't quite possibly come through yet. I had this vision, like during the election in the United States, Paul Harvey, who does a commentary here, came out with the fact that President Bush's first car was a Triumph. So I did this long iteration of manure, sending to the president, saying something on the order of, well, I heard that your first car was a Triumph from Paul Harvey, and that we're celebrating this 50-year anniversary in Mid-Ohio this year, and we have all the respect in the world for our British friends for having played the national anthem at the changing of the guard after 9/11, and I wanted this weekend for him to claim a proclamation for Triumph's 50-year anniversary, and I wanted to sing God Save the Queen and wave the flag for the Triumph All Triumph race tomorrow. I wrote the letter. I followed it up with the emails. I got a response from the Congress, and I got a response from the Senate. But the president went to China, and we tried to find out what was going on this week, but he had to go to Columbus to do something for Ohio State. But I'll bet you that proclamation is going to be in the mail Monday. But I did it. I just had to do it for some reason. So that was my thing for this event. I'm going to. What's going to happen here? We're going to have Mike Cook up here and intro Mr. Kastner and say a few words, and I'm out of here. I want to say thanks for making it a great weekend, and you can say that you were at the biggest Triumph event ever in history. Yeah.
Thanks, Tom. Anybody hear me? That's a shame.
I didn't know that anybody registered.
I'm really pleased to be here.
Good job.
I wish to state at this time that I have not been around Triumph for the full 50 years, but most of them, I suppose. It's also very nice, I think, of Queen Elizabeth II to have her 50th in honor of Triumph this year. I'm very happy to be back in Mid-Ohio. I happen to have grown up in Ohio, so I feel very much at home. Plus, I love this racetrack, and I think anybody who's here who didn't drive this track before now also loves it. Am I right? Yeah. Great place. Great place. I started off with Triumph in 1958, and they were already getting popular. They were already racing. They had run cars at Sebring for a couple of years. But we didn't have any sort of amateur racing support program. Nobody did in those days because SCCA was all there was, and they refused to let anybody take sponsorship. Money was dirty, except for the Prix Cunninghams of this world. So we had to find some way to promote ourselves to the racing community. And there were two people really involved in that. First one in the East was a man named Fred Gamble, who had been racing Maseratis in the South and got thrown off the team for having an affair with the boss's girlfriend. Came to New York and somehow or other landed a job working for Triumph, doing the old Triumph Owners newsletter, which I was also in charge of. Fred had an idea, and it turned out that there was an echo from the West Coast of the same idea. There was this guy Kastner, who in 1958 was still racing TR3s, and he was Cal Club champion. Unfortunately, of course, when he went to work for Triumph, when they bought out the Western distributor that he was working for, they wouldn't let him race anymore. It was a corporate policy that fortunately didn't extend another 10 years when I started racing. Anyway, so instead of using his hands and his shoulders to race with, he started using his brain to think about racing. He and Fred Gamble both came up with this idea: we don't give prize money, we give an expense advance. And that was the start of the Triumph Competition Support Program, which was the foundation of a lot of what's going on this year. You won a race, you notified the company sent you a check for expenses for the next race. Simple, beautiful, worked fine, SCCA couldn't say boo, and every other manufacturer adopted it almost instantly. And that's what really got all of this started. There wouldn't be so many Triumphs on the track now if we hadn't had that program going then. Well, I'm not going to go on forever. You ready?
I'm never ready.
Well, Kastner, as I say, he started off racing first an MG, which we'll forget about, then a TR2, then a TR3. There are pictures of him with, I think, the world's only square-cornered roll bar in the TR3.
That's the story by itself.
Well, you can tell the story. And I have to say that I knew him before I knew him, because there I was sitting at my desk at Broadway and 56th Street in New York in 1960, and there were these reverberations coming east from California about racing and triumphs and so forth, and they were all emanating from this guy. When he gets an idea in his mind, he really chews on it. So, the foundation of the program, all of the competition preparation books that you're still using, they all originated with this guy. And I think maybe the best phrase I could use to announce it with is one that he says he doesn't remember saying. But I've used it a number of times. I believe I've got it as a chapter title somewhere. And the statement is, rules are made to be used. There's a lot of cars being prepared for this weekend that are certainly taking advantage of that, especially the English ones. So with that, I would like to introduce you to a racing man who has, what? No, not persuaded the British to do a lot of things, persuaded the Japanese to do a lot of things, and had a huge influence on amateur and professional racing over the last 30 years or so. Kastner. Get up. Yeah, as close as you can.
Anyway, some of the things that have happened today, I'm overwhelmed by it, and you're welcoming me, and all the attention you paid when I didn't have too much time or whatever it was. Anyway, it's just been absolutely simply great. I want to say a word about the competition manual. The first one I did in defense, because I was getting a lot of letters and a lot of phone calls, I said, well, I've got to get, because I'm fundamentally lazy, so therefore I've got to get something to get out of this work, so if I could write all this down one time, I could send it out to somebody, and I won't have to answer the letter, and I'll have time to do what I want to do. And so I did this. I sat down, and my style of writing at that time, at one time I was a railroad telegrapher, so I learned to type all caps. Railroad typers were all caps. And so I typed this out, and also my style of writing, unfortunately, it did improve, but I write 2 paragraphs, and that was 1 sentence. And so I had probably 70 or 80 of these typewritten sheets, and I got some drawings and sketches and stuff, then sent off to Mike Cook to edit. And it took Mike probably 6 or 8 weeks, I'm sure he spent going through all of this and turning it into.
And then I went to page 2.
And then he went to page 2. Oh, that's different. And anyway, from that and from what Mike did with it, he sent it back, and I recognized it. I said, yeah, that's what I sent him. You know, that's just, you know, it's like when you send out your cylinder head to somebody, he ports it, it comes back to me, and that's absolutely gorgeous. He said, yeah, it's just like I do. And so that's how it started. But if Michael hadn't done that, we wouldn't have had the first book, because what I had, I don't think he'd have been able to read. And it continued on that. So our association now through time has been pretty darn good. And a hand for you, Mike, on that for proving. I have no racing stories. What's that? I saw a bench racing deal once, but I wasn't a participant. Anyway, one of the things that, you know, we don't want to gloss over too fast is that you people are keeping these cars, as I call it, on the right side of the fence. There's the spectator side of the fence, and there's the racing side of the fence. And the hard work, effort, and the money, and just all the time you put in, and the love and preparation, it's so outstanding to me. I go around and just marvel at what you're doing and how well you're doing it. And it reminds me of when I was driving, maybe with a little less intensity, but that you're having a good time doing it, but you're doing it with your friends too, and your friends are participating in it. And it almost makes me wish that I would make the investment to get another Triumph and come back and join you in this. But I made another, I'm invested in this blonde. And you know, I like the body work. I don't have anything to do with it. I will pay for this. But thank you, pretty cool. And because of her is why I'm here. I mean, because it's the first time we were going to go to where she wanted me to go to a Triumph. I said, no. I said, you know, it's one of the things on the West Coast. And I live 17, 18 miles away. I said, nobody will know we were going to be here. I said, what do I want to go up there for? And I'm doing that. I don't racing him. I'm not involved with that. He said, oh, come on, you got to go. So we went. And when I walked in there, I looked over, and there was Paul Smock's car. And it was a replica of my paint jobs I'd had with the white with the blue stripe down, and it took me an hour to get away. Because people kept showing up, and then I looked over and God, everybody had a competition name. I said, good heavens, who's reprinting these? I mean, because I'd given all mine away years ago. It was a long time that I didn't have all of my own manuals. Anyway, that's what started that. And this is kind of a culmination of it, because it was such a wonderful thing today when we were out on the track to see that many cars. When I was at Capital Sales, we had 2,500 once. When we were selling 6 a month. That was more than a 10-day supply. It's been just a wonderful thing, and I compliment you all on just how you're acting and what you do and the intensity that you're doing it. I mean, the love that you put into it and the preparation you put into it. Because I know there's other things that you can do with Doe, but boy, these Triumph cars are a lot of fun. And I want to thank you again for coming and allowing me to be part of it. So, thanks to everybody.
Okay, look what you do, drop the ball.
No, I finished. You left.
So are you done?